How y'all doing, everybody? Welcome to another live show of the Bayou Ballers podcast. We here on our regular scheduled day on Wednesday for once. How you doing today, brother? I'm your host T, but my guy over there, Trey. How you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm good, man. Just really had a long road trip for work, so just trying to get
Mhm.
back into the swing of things, man. But got my head coach, so I'm feeling real
Uh,
good.
yes, we do have our head coach. Remind just a little disclaimer, y'all. This is gonna be kind of a short show. Trey got a podcast he gotta get to, gotta get some quality time with the wifey, and I gotta go get baby girl. But we're gonna touch on a couple Super Bowl thoughts. Our thanks out. We getting our head coach finally. And we're gonna touch on a little bit of Super Bowl early odds for next year. And that's basically what this show gonna be about. So tune in, like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all know we love it. Let's get into it. Before we get to the Saints, let's get our Super Bowl thoughts out because we both made predictions that the Eagles was gonna win this game, and they didn't just win the game; they dominated the
No
game.
doubt.
this is one of the this is one of the most dominating games since Tampa beat the Chiefs about what 3 4 years
It
ago.
was 31-9, I think.
Yeah, 31-9. That was a dominant win, kind of in the same fashion with the defensive line. But Jalen Hurts surely showed out with his legs and delivering some great balls. Um, let's get into the game and what your basic thoughts on the game.
I mean, I kind of felt like Philly would win by double digits, man. I did
Hmm.
not think it was going to be that.
Hmm.
Um, I will say they kind of played their game, and I think it's one of the things we talked about was Philly was one of those teams. If they were going to play that style of ball, they weren't going to try to, make Jalen Hurts just do everything with his arm. They were going to utilize the run game.
Hmm.
Saquon wasn't his best, but they were kind of force feeding because you almost had to still make the defense respect the fact that you want to still get him the ball.
Hmm.
They were able to utilize a lot of those crossers they've been doing all season to get AJ Brown and Dallas Goddard some really big plays in the passing game. And that defense, man, they took it another level. I mean, they were always good, right?
And they
But
only had 4 sacks the whole season.
yeah,
And they went crazy this whole game. But continue,
and
bro.
and and everybody was just like the defensive interior, the edges, the linebackers were playing with their heads on fire.
Hmm.
I don't even think we even called the cornerbacks' names. Like outside of Cooper DeJean getting the pick six, like
Right. And
we didn't really talk about Slay. I don't even know what Slay played. That's how much I didn't hear about him.
yeah, he was
Quinn
quiet. We talked a
Mitchell,
little about Quinn
like
Mitchell. Who gave up the touchdown? Was it Rodgers?
no, it was Chauncey.
It was Johnson. Oh yeah, it
Yeah,
was. It was. It was the
yeah.
deep
But
ball.
like,
Xavier
but,
Worthy.
but like even like that was kind of like they had kind of
Garbage
said, you know
time.
what, it's garbage time. We're gonna let it
Yeah.
go. But
Hmm.
they just from beginning to end, they just looked like the better team.
Yeah.
That Kansas City didn't even belong on the field with them. Um,
I don't have what I want to have right now, Trey, but they put Belter. You know what I want to see, Belter. You know what they put it to from the beginning of the
yeah,
game, man. It wasn't a
yeah.
contest. I started the live bet during the game. They was losing so bad. I said Mahomes 25 yards. He ended up with 25 on the nine, and I was in there screaming. But there's a lot of discourse coming out of the game as well about.
Mhm.
I don't want to get into it because we talk about this a good bit. And Mahomes in his middle career, but the GOAT debate, people shutting off him being a GOAT already 7 years in,
Mhm.
which I think is crazy. We have our own spiel on that, me and you. We talked a little bit after the last show, after we got off. I wish y'all could have heard us going back and forth. We be still having conversations after we
Yeah.
finish. But how do you see the Chiefs bouncing back after this? Because they haven't lost in 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, their organization does a good job of trying to figure out what do they need to do to get better,
Hmm.
and get some guys in. I think one they need to invest better in the running back position. I think they
Hmm.
have kind of just said, well, we have Patrick Mahomes, so whoever's behind them, they'll figure it out. I think
Pacheco
they
hasn't looked the same since that
right, he's
injury.
getting injured, right. But even he was what a 6, 7 round pick. It's just kind of
Yeah,
like you get what you invest in almost. And I
right.
think the same thing can be said with the wide receiver core. Obviously, Xavier Worthy showed what he can do throughout the season. You're getting Why is his
D
name escaping?
Hop, Holly
Yeah, but
Brown.
Gotta got hurt, and he was in the
Mhm.
the the vehicle incident earlier in the year.
Oh,
Um,
Rasheed Rice.
Rasheed Rice, so you're getting him back. That'll
Hmm.
definitely help. I think you almost have to get more youth in the tight end room.
Definitely,
Travis
because
Kelce has
Travis
1 year
Kelce
left on
might
his
retire.
contract. So, like, the thing is, the Chiefs are probably going to end up getting a player where we were like, why the hell or how the hell did y'all allow them to get that player? Like, I can see them getting a
Miles Garrett.
Tyler Warren, like just offensively speaking, like a Tyler Warren or
Offensively.
Colston Loveland in the
Okay.
draft. And you're like, how? Why did we allow this to happen? Or like even to your point, they could go get a big name player in
Hmm.
free agency or in the
Yeah.
trade market and be right back in the hunt, which I think they will. It's just some minor tweaks that they
Uh,
have to get through.
you go ahead, finish.
Yeah, no, just saying. I just think there's probably going to be some minor adjustments. Obviously, off the offensive line is going to be a big thing, and
Hmm.
be able to invest more depth. Because having to kick Tooney out to left tackle, I think
Hmm.
if you have viable depth at that position,
Hmm.
you can have him at his position at left guard, and
But
that
he
helps
excels.
much better um, for from Patrick Mahomes and
Hmm.
being able to step into that pocket, have that comfort level, I should say, to step in that pocket. So maybe invest in in some more depth at those offensive lineman positions, so they don't have to reshuffle as significantly as they did.
I agree. I think they're gonna make some minor adjustments. I wonder, will they go for a big name offensive player? They got away with it last year, even though they were pretty bad during the regular season. They had their drops, but they found a way to win last year. They
Mhm.
got I don't want to say exposed, but they got took an advantage of in this game. They had a big play. They had a big play where they could have changed the momentum when DeAndre was wide open and
Yeah.
dropped the ball. The ball was a little bit ahead, but DeAndre should have caught that. And he had a lot of open field and run.
Yeah.
I think it was what 24-0 at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, it was 24-0, but one score, it could change the momentum in the game real quick. But I think the Chiefs have to upgrade that defensive line as well. Chris Jones getting up
Mhm.
in age. They don't have too many, I guess, explosive players off the edge. They have Karlaftis, but he's more of a like he reminds me of like a Rob Ninkovich, a guy who's just gonna hustle, and he's not great at anything, but he's never
Yeah.
gonna quit on a play, and that's how he gets a lot of his sacks, extended plays and things like that. But
Mhm.
I think they should upgrade at the defensive line, and as you mentioned, they need some help on the ends of the offensive line, left and right tackle. So appreciate y'all for who's in here right now. Pop up live. We didn't give no notice on Twitter. So we appreciate y'all coming in. We touched on Chiefs side. I want to get to the Eagles side because
Mhm.
our guy Jalen Hurts has came back and got his revenge game, played great.
Mhm.
He's the Super Bowl MVP, and Philly has another ring. Philly's
Mhm.
just a good organization, man. Harry Roseman just put together some good teams, and they came in there and they blew the walls off the Chiefs. So where does Philly go from here? How do you see them defending their championship?
I think they just continue to retool. They got a lot of young pieces that are
Hey,
good right away and cheap right now. I think you're going to see them invest in their offensive line a little bit more too. We saw some injuries hurt them a little bit throughout the year, but they were able to make it work. So I can see some investment there on the whole line and trying to make sure they maintain their depth there. Um, they have some key free agents on defense, but Howie understands that. Hey, how about I draft guys from winning cultures in college, and just maybe they might work out. So there's going to be a Georgia Bulldog, a member of Alabama,
another one.
probably
Yeah.
somebody from Ohio State. It's going to be somebody from those great programs that
Hmm.
have that experience winning and know how to be coached, and they're going to end up being a Philadelphia Eagle. And much like I said with the Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to look around and say, how did we allow the Philadelphia Eagles to get this guy? I will say I think one thing they can improve on offensively is get another playmaker in the passing game.
Hmm.
You obviously have
Another
AJ
one.
Smitty, another one. You have AJ and Smitty, but um,
Dallas Goddard.
you have Dallas got it as well. They
You
like
don't
to
trust
add
Jahan
running back.
Dotson, huh?
Like you were able to get Dallas Goddard when what's my boy's name? He plays for Washington right now. He was kind of at the tail end of
Zach
his career.
Ertz.
Yeah, Zach Ertz. So I think it's kind of like you need to look to see how you can do that now. I actually saw a mock draft where they drafted Harold Fanning Jr. out of Bogalusa State.
Bogalusa
No,
State,
Bowling Green,
word.
not Bogalusa State, Bowling Green.
Bowling
Sorry,
Green.
Bowling
Okay.
Green. So like getting a playmaker like that they don't have to be great right away, but they can be behind somebody that's a vet, or looking at some of these explosive playmakers like imagine they got an Isaiah Bond out of Texas, a guy that's a
Hmm.
speedster, could really star in that wide receiver 3 role when you know what AJ Brown and Smitty bring to the table as a dynamic duo. And you bring another guy that can take the top off the defense, that just makes it that much harder to be able to game plan for what
Hmm.
Jalen obviously can bring as a passer, but will bring with his legs and adding that with what Saquon has done on the heels of a historic season. So
I,
you always want to kind of get better offensively if you can. And I think they do a
uh,
good job of doing that too.
I agree with that. How you doing, E? Tell your friends come watch as well, E. And who you was rooting for, Chiefs or Eagles? One thing I'll say is I think they should focus more on defense. I think they have enough weapons. Bringing in another weapon might just blow AJ Brown over the edge, taking away his target. So we might just keep the weapons at bay right now.
Yeah.
But I think they should focus on bringing Zach Bourne back because he had a career year, man. Sadly but happily, man. Our guy had a big year for them, and he's a free agent, I believe. So I think they need to focus on showing that up. And it's crazy because Zach Bourne played middle linebacker for them. He
Mm-hmm.
was an outside rusher in college and basically a bench player for the Saints. I'm not even gonna say his position for the Saints. A special team, a bench player, rarely in on third downs throughout his tenure with the Saints. And they had him playing middle linebacker, and he adjusted pretty well. I think they need some depth over there because I really can't name another linebacker. Don't judge me, Philly
Yeah.
fans,
Well,
on their team.
they have Zach, they have Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and
Okay,
they have Jacoby Dean, who's going to be coming
he's a
back from
linebacker.
injury. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he was a
Yeah, so
linebacker.
he's going to be
He's an
coming back from
outside
injury.
linebacker, right?
He's middle. So he was the guy that had the
Okay.
green dot. He had the green dot before he ended up getting hurt, and then they,
Okay.
gave that to Zach Bond so that a rookie and Jeremiah Trotter like he could still kind of just play a little bit more
Okay.
free. So
All right.
I was to my boy, shout out to my boy, Coach Virgil, the
Mm-hmm.
Southeastern's finest, brought us out of the dumps. But he kind of mentioned, he's like, man, it would be great to have Zach Bond back because they haven't had that continuity at that middle linebacker position in quite
Mm-hmm.
some time. It's all going to come down when it comes to Zach. Like, think about it, dude, with a third or fourth round pick, never
It's
really
gonna
had a
come to
big
money.
payday.
It's gonna
And
come to money.
is he going to chase the bag and risk being on a team that doesn't have the personnel that the Philadelphia Eagles have at the defensive line that allows him to use what he's really good at as being kind of a quick-footed type of guy that can just make a play and close, and
I think
you
so.
don't have to worry about being undersized because the offensive guard or left tackle is kind of coming at you. So it'll be interesting to see the offers that come his way because I think some team with cap space will overpay,
Overpay.
but if it's like, look, if it's the difference between maybe $2 million a year, I'm staying in Philly. But
I'll say
if it's
this.
yeah,
I'll say this. Is it an overpay if he's coming off a year like this though? His first like year with like big playing time, and he
it,
was golden. I know he
it
benefited from
is.
having them big boys on the line, but he was a
But here's
damn near
the
all
thing,
pro this year.
and I know a lot of Saints fans are upset saying, "Well, we misused him." And I was like, we misused him in the sense that we didn't allow him to rush the passer as much as he should have been doing, and we saw that last year where we let him do it. And I truthfully, I believe, had we kept using him like we had been using him, he's still a New Orleans Saint because nobody would have signed him. But
Mm-hmm.
because we showed flashes of what he actually could do as an edge rusher, they said, well, okay, like we'll take a filler on him, and we need the linebacker depth, and he just ended up playing himself into a star role for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think bad teams take that risk on players that have one really good year.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, hey, we'll pay you a hell of a lot of money to be here. The difference is this is the NFL and not the NBA. That money's not guaranteed. They can, that first year could not be so good for you and you get cut. So all that money that you thought you were having, you don't
Mm-hmm.
have anymore. And so that's why I
Yeah,
say, if
that's why
it's
it's guaranteed gonna
if
be
it's marginal, right, I'm staying with Philly. Now, if somebody's offering you 6 million more. You play a tough physical game. The shelf life is low. You never know what'll happen. You take what you can get. Like I'm never going to tell somebody not to take the money in that situation, especially when it's that significant. But I
Mhm.
think if Philly does pay him well, they don't lowball him. I would personally stay if I was Zach Bond. But I don't know what he's going to do.
He might do the to defend the title, but he has his ring now. Never had a big payday. I think he showcased his skills on a high level. So I think I don't know what type of deal he'll be coming through. I'm sure he's gonna be looking for a 3, 4 year deal.
The,
And it might hit around the what 40, 50 million.
so I'll say it in terms of what it is per year.
Mhm.
The highest pay right now is Roquan,
Linebacker.
the linebacker for
All right.
Ravens. He getting 20
Mhm.
million a year. Um, I would say Zach Bond is kind of in that Matt Milano,
Matt
Patrick
Milano is at
Queen. Yeah, it's at
14.2,
14, right?
Patrick
So
Queen 13.7, Fred Warner 19, Tremaine
right.
Evans 18. So
So
I
I would
think
say maybe
he'll fall around the
15.
10 range.
If I but I say if you offer Zach Bond 10 million as the Eagles, he gone. Because
No,
I
I'm talking
think
about on the
somebody's
market.
huh?
I'm talking about on the market. Maybe
Yeah.
Does offer him that. Maybe I'm lowballing, but
Because I think he can fetch 15 to 16 million. Like if I'm Philly, I'm starting off at 15. Highest I'll go is probably 17. Um,
15 million. That's
'Cause
Fred
I
Warner
saw that
range.
15.
17. Fred Warner
But
making
for one
19.
19, ain't it?
17. Fred Warner 19. That's what I'm saying. 17 that's Fred Warner range.
Yeah, but
Off of
but the
one
thing
year.
is, but a team that's desperate and has the money, they gonna say we give you 17 to 18, Zach, to come over here. And
Oh yeah, I'm
so
talking about the Eagles though. I'm talking about the Eagles.
Eagles, Eagles, I stick between 14 and 16 million. If I'm the Eagles. And then if he
Okay.
like, oh, but this other team about to offer me 17 million, and it's
Mhm.
like really that big of a difference, like I'll give him the 17, but like, dude, you really about to leave Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter for $1 million more a year? Like,
Mhm.
dude, you can get that in freaking incentives the way we
Okay.
gonna do some things for you. So be interesting.
Okay. While we talking about the Super Bowl, we could transition and touch on the next year's Super Bowl odds for a quick second before we move on to the Kellen Moore news. I'm going to share this screen with y'all from FanDuel. As y'all see right now, the Super Bowl odds, Philly is the favorite, but slightly over the Chiefs. And as follows, the two teams who Kansas City took down, well, not Kansas City, the Bills took down the Ravens, and the Chiefs took down the Bills. So it's a triangle between those teams. And
Mhm.
then the Lions and 49ers still come back. Pretty ironic that the 49ers up there, they had a really bad injury year with McCaffrey, Kittle, Deebo missing some games. A lot of people miss some games. And we see Bengals follow, Green Bay follow, and it keeps going
Mhm.
on from there. But how do you? I'm sure that the first two teams are fine. How do you feel about the Ravens and the Bills following? Do you think that is appropriate?
I think it's appropriate. I mean, it's a real good list to kind of start off. But I tell you right now, my early favorites to get to the Super Bowl, I got it being a 49ers Bengals Super Bowl right now as it stands.
Okay, with the 49ers up in limbo, Brock Purdy not signed yet. Deebo Samuel just requested a trade. They
Yeah,
have
because
Brandon Ayuk off of ACL, no number two receiver.
Kyle Shanahan typically figures it out. And I
He
think Brock Purdy, whether he gets paid or doesn't, I think he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder.
Mhm.
Christian McCaffrey, I think they did the right thing by saying, hey, you know what? We're just going to sit you the rest of the year. Like, yeah, you could play theoretically with the injuries you have, but
Right, but we
let's
got the
give it another
playoffs.
year. Because he did get hurt real late, and like he got hurt in the Super Bowl last year.
Mhm.
So let him have that time to recover. And I just think they'll do it. Um, the Bengals, honestly, they just really need to stop being cheap. Pay the guys you need to pay, get
Mhm.
that defense fixed up, and they're right back in the thick of it.
Mhm.
They had the league leading passer in terms of yards and touchdowns and the Triple Crown Award winner. Like that means something to me. And I feel like if you get another year like that with these guys, they stop being cheap and they sign in T. Higgins. They had a really good running back group that did well. They weren't a Joe Mixon, but a very young group, and you can kind of build off of that. Continue to invest in their offensive line as best as you can,
Mm-hmm.
and just get a little bit more talent. Get some young talent that can play well for the Bengals, but keep some of your guys. Like I saw one of the better players demanded a trade. Well, a lot can fix that. A conversation with the leader in Joe Burrow, and maybe let's talk about the money. Whenever somebody wants to demand a trade from pretty much a team that can contend for the playoffs in and out, it's probably more than likely a financial reason why
And
they want to get out.
who you referring to? T. Higgins?
No. I just saw it.
Because they have two big free agents. Most likely T. Higgins is gone. Trey Hendrickson needs to re-up. So we'll see if the Bengals pay up for those guys, but they do need to revamp that defense badly. And hey, it's not impossible because the Eagles defensive team last year were pretty bad, especially on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
And they overhauled it and they back in the Super Bowl. So
yeah, and Jermaine Pratt is their linebacker, and he just demanded a trade. 28 years old, defensive captain, was their leading tackler last year. So for me, when it's somebody that's doing that on a team again that has a quarterback like that and that can lead you anywhere, more times than not, it's a financial issue. The Bengals need to stop being cheap, and Joe Burrow has been publicly and privately kind of blasting him about that. Like he even mentioned the Eagles as an example of, they paying everybody. Now, granted, they not paying Jalen Hurts the money that they paying you. So you got to keep that into perspective as well. I mean, you might want to keep your guys, but you also got to look at the money that you bringing in too. So are you willing to do certain restructures so that they can have more money to pay the guys? Because it just doesn't grow on trees. Like there is a cap that they have to abide by. So, I can tell you what the Bengals are going to say. You really want us to keep those guys? What are you willing to give up to have us keep these guys? And if the answer is, well, I ain't giving up a damn thing. Well, all right, then you gave us your answer. We can't keep everybody if you don't want to make sacrifices. So there you have it.
It's so tough for me in the NFC to pick a team. It's so hard, man. I don't know. Something. It's just the NFC is just the basic pick is to repick the Eagles, but it's so hard to get back to back defend this Super Bowl champ, especially since they just had the Chiefs. And then for the Eagles to win and go back to back, that hasn't happened. I think never in NFL history to have two back to back champions.
Right. Because I can remember the last NFC team to make it. Like, was it the Seahawks? The last ones to make it like back to back, like in back to back years.
What year was that? You talking about Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I think like his teams might be the only ones to make it to like back to back Super Bowls.
I'm not even sure. Who did Russell Wilson them beat in the Super Bowl?
They beat
that loss was so loud. All right, they beat Payman. Oh yeah, they dominated Payman.
I think they played the
Patriots.
Then I think they played the Patriots the next year. So if I'm not mistaken, I think they're probably the last NFC team to repeat as NFC champions because I can't think of anybody else that did that.
Yeah, I don't know. And look at me. That's crazy. I got on the title right now. Ain't hire Kellen Moore. That was not purposely, you guys. I wanted to put the Saints.
Don't believe him. His intrusive thoughts won. Intrusive thoughts won, y'all.
Y'all, let me change that right now while I'm doing it. I did try to do it, y'all. I love my Saints through all. That's crazy, man. But we gotta get to the Kellen Moore hire right now, y'all. Change that for y'all because that's disrespecting my Saints. But Saints hire Kellen Moore as their next head coach officially. This look like you're 8 for 8 on coaching predictions.
That's what they tell me.
Show y'all my guy Trey Twitter. He wanted to show y'all some posts from his Twitter page about Kellen Moore and to stick it to you guys to let them know who's the real guru is. Which ones are we going to go, brother?
Man, look, you know what? I like this one. This one with the Russell Westbrook one. Okay, because that was a dark time.
Let me read it for him before you comment on it. Mike, we go back almost 30 years. Tell me what you think we're getting in a guy like Kellen Moore. Go ahead, elaborate.
So, what was funny about that for me was people were starting to kind of get antsy. Obviously, we are waiting a long time, relatively speaking, to name a head coach, and there are some
Mhm,
candidates that have told us no, if you want to believe that. Although, um, from what I've heard, and my firm belief is that they were told that we like you, but we don't love you. And if somebody tell you they like you but they don't love you, you have a couple choices. You can stay around and just hope they change their mind, or you can say, all right,
mhm,
you're right. Let me get on by my business. And so that one was when we kind of knew that it might be Kellen Moore or Mike McCarthy, knowing that Aaron Glenn had taken the Jets job. And I posted that saying that's likely the conversation that's about to happen with Mike McCarthy. And lo and behold, not too long after that, Mike McCarthy has taken his name out of the running of the head coaching hire. And what it says is that he did it because of the power structure. And of course,
mhm,
our fan base ran with that because it was an opportunity to blame the organization, blame Mickey, whatever it might be. But
mhm,
sometimes you got to look at it. Kellen Moore was clearly the guy, especially after Aaron Glenn. We knew we were always number two with him. And then it was Kellen Moore. And if you
mhm.
don't believe that, we had opportunities to hire Mike McCarthy. We had opportunities to hire Mike Kafka. We had
Yep,
opportunities to hire Anthony Weaver. We could have brought in Cliff Kingsbury in for another interview to try to finalize that once they lost the NFC Championship game. Joe Brady, like we could have hired him anytime we wanted to after they
as the
lost the
process dragged
game.
along,
Right.
then Mike McCarthy said he's going to focus on the
Next cycle, right.
next year cycle once he noticed that the Saints were waiting on Kellen Moore.
So I just thought that was funny. And then just the timing right after him announcing it that he was going to be out of running. I just think it kind of goes to, hey, this could be a conversation that happens. You have a guy you really want. Mike McCarthy was the guy, truthfully, that gave Kellen his big break in coaching. He
Mhm,
took the job as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and made Kellen Moore the quarterback coach. A year later, promotes him to offensive coordinator. They have, 3, 4 really good years together. And, at that time, you heard the murmurs that, hey, Jerry Jones might really be looking to kick Mike McCarthy to the curb and elevate Kellen Moore. And that I think that kind of made their relationship a little bit more toxic than you probably would have liked it to be. And
mhm.
Kellen gets fired, goes to Sandy or Los Angeles Chargers. Why did they move that franchise? I hate it. Does that for a year. Their coaching staff gets fired, obviously, when Brandon Staley gets fired. And then he um, goes down to Philly or goes up to Philly, I should say, and the rest is history. Um,
Okay. Uh,
but, man, it was just funny because I just felt like we all had our kind of our ideas of who we wanted to coach to, who we wanted the coach to be, right?
mhm.
Ben Johnson obviously was a big name. You had some people that really loved Joe Brady based on his accomplishments with the 2019
Uh,
LSU team and him having a history here. Obviously, Aaron Glenn was a name. Mike Vrabel was a name. I know I like when I say like, hey, if we want to go the veteran
so,
route, I would love a Mike Vrabel as
mhm.
opposed to maybe a Mike McCarthy or somebody like that. But um, once that name really surfaced, Kellen Moore, and kind of doing some digging around that, it was evident that he was the guy that our organization really, really liked. And he was more so treated like a 1B to Aaron Glenn's 1A. And
Mhm.
I think he did the process right. Everybody knows how the NFL feels about the New Orleans Saints. And I think if we had any type of slip up through this process, we would have got the hammer. Like it wouldn't have been like with the Cardinals having to do a third round pick swap. Like we would have lost valuable capital because we know how the NFL feels about us and how we usually get the sharp edge of the sword when it comes to punishment. And so I appreciate the Saints kind of taking their time, doing things the right way. If you
Well,
look at every
nobody else can hire him.
yeah, but if you look at even how the national media, every time they reported on the Saints job and their interest in Kellen Moore, it was always the Saints are trying to play it by the book. They're trying to make sure they don't
Mhm.
do anything wrong. Like that
Yeah,
was
you
for
know
a
who put
reason.
that out there. who was feeding them reports if it was reported like that, it was coming from the Saints.
Exactly. So like just to make sure that hey y'all, we following the rules.
Right. We
Philly,
waiting.
don't be trying to snitch to the commissioner. Like we doing everything the right
Right.
way.
Right.
And what you're seeing here, man, I don't know if this is going to be, but I doubt it because obviously Mike Hodges took another job, L. Harris took another job, but we just kind of look at okay, like you're starting to push the Kellen Moore agenda, so to speak. Of okay, what does that staff look like? And I think that's kind of the big thing right now. But
Okay. I have one more question because obviously we gotta get out of here, but I
yeah,
want to know this from you. Since Kellen Moore is the coach, obviously he's gonna have a lot of I would say some say so in the draft process
mhm.
of who they draft with that ninth pick. Does he go QB? And does he reach for a QB or does he go Genty, a guy from his alma mater?
I will say this. I believe if the Saints do go quarterback, I
Mm-hmm.
believe it'll be at the ninth pick. Um, One thing you gotta realize is the quarterback position is valuable, and people are willing to reach and get their guy
Right.
to avoid the possibility that they may not make it back around the next time you have to pick.
Yeah.
And when you think about the teams that are going to be looking for quarterbacks, I mean, now the Jets are going to be on the market for a quarterback. The Rams may
Tennessee.
be on the market. I mean, we know Tennessee is kind of at the top, but who knows if they're going to use the first overall pick on that? They may
And they
say,
say they're open to trading.
right. So when I think about some of the teams behind us, behind our pick, you think about the Rams, you think about um, the Browns may try to come back and get it. There are a few teams I think that are kind of behind. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that could be looking to draft a guy in the first round and try to find their franchise quarterback. March is going to play a big deal in the whole quarterback landscape. Like we got to figure out where's Aaron Rodgers going, what's going on with Justin Fields, what's going on with Derek Carr, what's going on with Sam Darnold, who's going to be kind of the big free agent signing at the quarterback position, and he's 27. So you give him the big deal. It ain't a beat a. It's not to be a bridge. It's not going to be kind of like the Falcons situation where Kirk was what 34, 35 coming off an Achilles.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you signed to big money, but that's a lot different than giving that level of a contract to a guy that's in his athletic prime. So wherever Sam Darnold goes, I have to think that team isn't going to say, well, we're going to draft a quarterback high. And so when do you try to play it safe and wait to pick 40 to get a quarterback? Well, you could, but you run the risk of a lot of these first round teams who know they need a quarterback, whether they have a veteran on the roster or not. They may just bite the bullet, draft the guy, know you have that 5-year contract, and go through with that. And you might not have that opportunity at 40. And I know there's been some talks about maybe some guys in the middle of the pack, like middle rounds, but I just feel like that's a formula you've tried for 50 years and it hasn't worked yet. Like it's only worked once, sustainable success, that being the free agent signing of Drew Brees. And even that at that time was a risk. When you had guys like Matt Leinart coming out and Vince Young coming out who had this pedigree from a college standpoint, you said, hey, we're going to take a bet on this guy who was a kind of a game manager in San Diego and is coming off a serious shoulder injury where he failed the physical in Miami, right? So to answer your question, I made it a long way around. I believe that they might, but that just depends on if he wants a quarterback right now. Maybe it's, hey, I've always built with guys that I've inherited. Maybe I want to try with a Spencer Rattler and see what we can do with that. Or he may say, I want my guy. And if he wants his guy, you get his guy at 9, in my opinion.
Whatever he does, hopefully he makes a great decision in the draft pick at number 9 for us, because we're in desperate need of some type of spark or rejuvenation. So hopefully Kellen Moore, Super Bowl champion Kellen Moore, can get that done for us now. But that brings us to the end of our show, y'all. Once again, thank y'all for tuning in. Quick short show today, because gotta get going. But appreciate y'all for looking. It is now my favorite time of the season, NBA season. Lock in. So we're gonna have some shows for y'all. But other than that, y'all have a good day. Any last words from Trey?
Nah, man. Look, if you're a member of Who That Nation, it's a new day. We should be excited. Of course, let's figure out what the next few months look like. Y'all know how we get because a couple good looking signings. We already talking about black and gold to the Super Bowl. Let's give it some time.
Don't
But
be like the Cowboys fans, man. Just
yeah,
take it step by step, y'all.
but it
Let's
feels
get to
good
the
to be.
playoffs first. Let's get back
It
to the
feels,
playoffs, man. We've been on a drought, but thank
hey,
y'all.
it feels good to have that refreshed energy. So,
Facts. Bayou Ballers podcast, y'all. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
all right, peace.